us. But I want to take a couple of minutes. You maybe see what's going on with my face, okay? What I do today, this is in support of what's going on in our county, in our world, in the nation. What's going on is too much hate just because you live your life and you want to treat right because your gender. What's going on with us as human beings is really, really wrong. Why we judging everybody? Why we just not get together, join together, love each other, and make this world is a peace world, is a loving world, you know? So that's what I do this. I basically don't like makeup and all that, but I want for everybody to see that, you know what, is nothing wrong. A lot of us born with difference in our bodies, and we have to respect that. It's about respect, okay? So, I am a male, I'm gay, but I'm doing this because you know what? This is beautiful. So if you are a male, and you inside is a woman, do it. That's your right. So we know we are not here to judge anybody. So that's what we have to do, you know, is start accepting everybody the way it is. I am so proud and I'm so happy that the Solano Ace Coalition team, Calvin DeVille, Izzy Dranguli, John Carter, all our team, we have supporting us, and they are right here making this happening. I'm proud of that, and I'm going to do everything in the team power in the Solano Ace Coalition to make sure that the voice of the Solano Serenity group get heard. We are right here to love you, to respect you, to be with you, and to make sure that this is happening. You know what? Enough is enough. We want to see these beautiful faces happy. Happy. I want to smile in their faces. When they come here, I see a lot of sadness. We try to make sure that we are all happy, you know. And I want to thank them because I learned a lot. In the beginning, I was honestly, I mean, and that's what we have to do. We have to teach the community. You know why? I think somebody's in the door, and I think it's Times Herald, and I love that. Hello, Times Herald. Come on, welcome. Yes, come on and do that.
In fact, Leslie identified as an anti-racist, white, working-class, secular Jewish, transgender, lesbian, female, revolutionary communist.
Okay.
And they died on November 15th. What Leslie did for us as a community was write some really important books that I really urge you all to read if you haven't read them yet. The first came out in 1993. It was a novel called Stone Butch Blues. And it was a groundbreaking work about the complexities of gender. And it's heartbreaking, but it's a beautiful, beautiful book. And how I came to know Leslie Feinberg was in the moment when I said to actually a total stranger who I happened to fall into a deep conversation with, you know how that happens? She asked me, did I want to have children? And I said, yeah, but I want to be a dad. I didn't have a word for being transgender, and this was the year 2000. I knew that men could become women, but I had no idea that it could happen the other way around. And she said, oh, do you think maybe you're transgender? And I was like, what? And she said, you need to read the book Transgender Warriors by Leslie Feinberg. And it's the history of transgender people from the beginning of time, that we have existed in all cultures, in every society, across all time. This is not a modern phenomenon, even though our words for it change over time, right? And suddenly, can you imagine, someone just told me recently about, they had eye surgery when they were young, and when they were about 7 or 8 was the first time that they ever saw stars. That they ever realized that stars were not these 5-pointed cutout things that you made in school, that they were these bright objects in the sky that they had never seen before in their lives. That was my experience of reading Transgender Warriors, realizing that there was a word for me, that there was a community for me, there was a history for me, and Leslie Feinberg is the person who created that. Also, Leslie wrote a book called Transliberation, Beyond Pink and Blue. Leslie never wanted to create an umbrella term for us. Leslie wanted us all to be able to determine our own destinies. And Transgender Liberation is a wonderful book. It's actually a Marxist text on being liberated in your gender rather than doing what somebody else told you you should do. So I highly recommend it. And in the face of a loss on the scale of Leslie Feinberg, there aren't really words. So I wrote a poem instead. Leslie, you transitioned this November, a month where we gather to remember all the souls you spent your life fighting for. You stood for all who cannot stand. You took the violence, stabbing, structural in hand. You know it begins and ends with the poor. Your last words, I was a revolutionary communist, fighting non-violently against every privileged society ever made a safe haven for. Leslie, you opened the door. You taught us our own rich history, transgender identity's epic tapestry, the responsibility of allyship to all humanity. You left behind no vagaries as to which side we must ever bend toward. Now, Leslie, you are free of class, race, gender, and ability. Your soul burns like an ember to light our way this and every November. Leslie, may we always remember. I'm going to read to you a few stories from my book, my book is the scripts of the 3 one-person shows that I have created and travel around the country with. They're my stories. I've made no bones about the fact that these are autobiographical stories, and as such, they only tell a certain story, right? White, F to M, etc. But I'd be interested to know what resonates with you. Okay, I'm worried about the projector. You ever see yourself on some misplaced mirror? Or on the reflective foundation of a skyscraper? You're walking along to the music in your head. You're having a ball listening to the music in your head. And you trip when you see that reflection. You trip on how different you look. Maybe just since you walked out the door. Maybe your whole life. You trip, you stumble, you wonder if the cats behind the glass are getting a good laugh at you, scraping your hair back around your ears or pulling on your skirt, so you move on, holding on to that image of you projected for everyone to see. Inside of me, I had a picture. My whole life looked a lot like this, actually. Until I realized that people can be mirrors, until I saw myself reflected in the faces of strangers as cold and alien as those structures downtown. See, I was cruising through a summertime, right? Responsibilities on the line, loved a girl who could make you stand whenever she entered the room. Her parents invited me out to dinner. Man, I felt like such a winner, winning smile, winning charm, and this girl on my arm, shit. That went as I was. Wondering if there'd ever been a cat as cool as me, confident, assured, just me. And then she opened the door.
Wise men say only.
But that's how it felt, you know what I mean? Come with me for a second. Imagine the most incredible looking woman you've ever seen and the most beautiful red dress, and she's wearing it. Call her what you want. Call her a he if you need to, but tonight that woman was with me. Though it seemed it was not queer night. At the country club this evening, I dropped my forks, I sloshed my wine, I felt this mask crust over me. I'm too ugly, I'm too queer to be with this red woman. I couldn't laugh, I couldn't speak. I just felt the way the room stared at me when we walked in the door. I mean, sure, it was my appearance, but Wasn't my hair and everything I thought to wear the image of myself projected for everyone to see? She took me home. She wouldn't let me go alone. The kiss goodnight became a spend the night invitation. Once in my room, she looked at me, told me I hadn't been the gregarious girl she knew me to be, though I was at least the perfect nervous boyfriend. I lowered my eyes, started to cry. I told her everything, the mask, the thoughts I hear inside my head that I believe come from others when faced with me and her, the woman in red, how in the context of what others see, regardless of her love for me, I see myself. No, it's that I can't see myself. I'm not the guy I want to be. Why the roles? Why the box? Didn't Butch Femme die in a fiery wreck 20 years ago along with all the rest that wasn't mainstream, middle-class dreck, huh? Sometimes I like to think that I am the ghost of some 50s Bull Dyke Butch reborn in too feminine a body in a time too streamlined by what's correct to live to be what I'd like to reflect. Baby, she told me. And oh, how she put her hands on me, lowered her hot thighs onto mine, sweethearts. You're boy enough for me. But I wouldn't be with you if I didn't know just how much of a woman you really can be. So, I bought myself a blue suit. I asked the tailor, I said, hey man, don't worry about offending me, but do I look like a guy to you? He looked me up and down, laughed a little, and said, honey, not with those hips, I'd still take you out. I wore it one night with the woman in red, and I was satisfied, except, and here is the problem of the feminist consciousness. I woke up the next morning, my arm bridging the gap between the curve of her hips and the swell of her breast, thinking. I thought, the whole world still knows just how much of a woman I am, even if I'm not wearing 3 pieces of clothing to match my sex. I had dreamed of Paula Martineau and Georgia Langan, 2 dykes imprisoned after the death of Paula's young daughter. It took the jury 7 years to decide that death had been an accident, given the circumstances. I wondered if Paula and Georgia looked any softer after all that time. See, there's a sharpness to a dyke, you know. I don't have it. Nobody sees it in me. But Paula and Georgia had it. Paula, I would write it on my body, on some hard wall of my body, in sticky black letters for you. If it would make anybody see. You know, because I realized that we're in a different class, me and Paula and Georgia. If it's not about money, it's about passing. I'll be the jury, huh? On my day in court. Would you put this queer away? If it would make anybody see. Have you seen my friend Brandon Tina? You see my friend Marcia Johnson? Marcia, pay it no mind. Johnson. Spoons or lemons to change the flavor. But I thought I would ask you all to remember the sweet that comes when we drink a delicious liquid that has color in it. Here's to not whitewashing anything. There you go. A gift from my people. And it's kind of like, what's that, when you do, with that thing you do in church? When everybody IATS, LMNOP, right? It brings up a very important question. Spit or swallow? It's the swallowing of tradition when you're untraditional yourself that's so interesting to me. I mean, how much do we swallow? How much can we take? How far can we spit? See, so often we sit silent in the face of tradition when all we really want to do is tear our clothes off and go running out into the dark night of making things new, right? But it's difficult. We got families, we got jobs, we got citizenship to deal with. Do we want to be a part of any group that will have us? But no matter what we say or choose not to reveal, there's always, it's like a spotlight marking you different. You feel it on your cheeks, your cheekbones glare and you can't close your eyes against it. So you stand still, act innocent, and look for that light in the faces of the people around you so that you can survive until at some point you are swallowed whole. Or else you spit yourself out. Sometimes there's no other choice but to stand in that spotlight and take a bow. Because you know what they say, don't you? It's not so much about coming out as it is coming through. And I mean, you really can't know what to expect when you come out trans. When I came out trans at 20 years old, a wonderful activist named Monica Helms asked me if I was ready to lose everything. Your family, your job, the place where you stay, everything. A 20-year-old kind of can't, well, the 20-year-old I was, couldn't really comprehend that. But what I did lose shocked me to my core. See, as an adult, I was raised by lesbians, right? On like organic lentils and feminist thought, you know? And now as an adult, most people see a gay man, if they're looking, right? But coming out transgender in the community that invented coming out, I've met with far more rejection than I ever imagined possible. See, straight people are actually pretty cool with me. Like, straight people, yes, they rallied hard to keep me a girl. I was just so pretty. You look just like Ellen. Why can't you stay that way? And yeah, I'm sure that's something to do with straight people's, straight and cisgendered, I should say. Straight is a mindset more than anything else. Their comfort with me probably has a lot to do with the fact that I pass, right? That I blend in the way that I do, and they don't really have to deal with any difference with me. But, you know, they're like, okay, so now you're a dude. Cool. What else? Gay people? Gay people have rallied for me to have the right to be who I am and to be that person proudly. And they have since long before I was even born. But now, as a straight but transgender guy, if I'm not gay or lesbian, I find I have no brother's keeper. Even though I'll always be pretty fucking queer to anybody who would, I don't know, pass laws and exclude me, or I don't know, murder me. You can't go throwing a queer kid into the straight end of the swimming pool like that, you know? I need my queers. I want my lesbians and my gays, the people who taught me how to tell the truth, the people who filled my lungs with air to speak about who I am. These waters of being a straight guy, they're harder to navigate than you think. So let's talk about allyship, because everybody needs allyship. So I want you to know, this is Janet Mock. Maybe, could we turn out the lights?
The lights. Can we get the lights?
Yeah. There are a few more seats over here if you would like to I think there's enough for everybody sitting over here. Would you ever then spin around and tell everybody? We do this, don't we? We say, he's gay. But telling somebody, outing somebody as trans is actually not something that's okay to do. Because it's one thing, now everybody has an idea about what being gay and lesbian is. Like, people get it, they're cool. But when you're trans, you're always just trans. I'm everybody's transgender best friend, Scott. And that's the only conversation I can ever have. I'm so tired of that. Because people just, they're so curious, they're so interested, that's all they want to talk about to me. Meanwhile, I have a degree in theater, I spent the last year in France, I love street art. Like, you know, I've got all these other things to talk about, and all you want to ask me about is my gender? Really? So telling other people about us opens us up to having to talk about this in a way that doesn't have anything to do with the lives we are actually trying to lead. Yes, we are transgender people and we are totally proud of it. And at the same time, we also have a job to do. We also have hobbies we enjoy. We're also totally whole people. Lifelong learning. I love that you're all here. I want you to continue to come to transgender events all the time, and not just Transgender Day of Remembrance. I want you to watch TED Talks. I want you to watch movies and television about transgender people. I want you to stay current, because that's what advanced allyship really is. I want you to educate others kindly. I love what Mario said about like going out and educating people. Yes, you can take whatever you learn from me and like tell it to the world. I'm so happy for you to do that. Please do, right? The other part about it though is when people are talking about your transgender friends or any transgender person and they're using the wrong name or the wrong pronoun, correct them. Now again, let's correct people from a place of they're making an honest mistake. Clearly they don't mean to hurt people, because defensiveness and combativeness doesn't help us, right? But saying like, oh, he went to, you mean she? Well, yeah, she went to the store. Just like that, just boom, it's no problem. Ending gossip. If people are telling, right? If people have asked and are telling, you can just say, you know, I think you should bring so-and-so into the room and ask those questions to their face, because guaranteed they won't, right? And you should do this especially if the person isn't there. That's advanced allyship, right? Not only to do it when you're in the queer spaces where it's all important to be politically correct and whatever, but also to do it in places where it might make you unsafe to do it. That's really taking a stand. Okay, this says, just another straight guy for gay rights. This is a real picture. Doesn't he look so cute from behind? I'm like, I'm in love with you just because of your side and your dog. Right? Advocate for LGBT rights. When a cisgendered person fights for transgender rights, calls up and says we need this, it is worth 10 phone calls. I literally had Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, who's my senator. He told me, he said, if your mom called up, that will be worth 10 times you calling. Because I have an agenda, right? But my mom, now there's the thing. We haven't gotten all these rights that we've gotten. What is it, 70% of America thinks that like gay marriage is great, and you know what I mean? Like we have so many people. That's 70% of America. That's not just LGBTQ people, right? That's our brothers and sisters, our friends, our parents, our communities, right? That's who we need to get this ball rolling with transgender liberation. And finally, one other way to help is to share LGBTQ content on your social media. And really I say LGBTQ, but I really tonight just mean trans, right? Put it on your social media everybody here who feels safe, right, and who can in your lives, if you put in there that I was at this event tonight, and that you go to this other trans thing, and you go to this other trans thing, and you're not trans yourself, what if everybody did that? And then it wouldn't be this niche thing, right? It would be a party. It would be, right? It would actually just be something that happened. It wouldn't be special anymore. And that's part of what we're trying to make happen. All right, what am I doing next? I want to give you 2 examples of what allyship looks like. One is from a very close loved one, and one is from a teacher.
Tuesday, October 18, 2005 at 12:16 a.m. I lost you. You're in a tunnel somewhere, or your phone is dead. But the last thing I think I would say to you is that we just need to take this one step at a time in your transition. And I'm okay with that. And I want to see you through all of this. Will you see me through all of this? And you and I might just come out together in the end. And wouldn't that be beautiful? Hey Scott, it's Pat Green. How you doing? I just got your message about you don't have to be a man in 127 steps. And part of the process of making a peace is where you are now, and that's why it would be great